Hey, hi, hello. Welcome to Diana Emerson. Today we are listening to The Killing Season, and this is Whoever Fears Monsters.
Hello, how can I help you? Donation for my time to be two for the hour, $100 for the half. Half an hour will be fine. Just call me when you're getting off the exit. It's crazy. There's crazy people out here. There's a lot of freaks out here. There's a lot of naughty men.
What about those girls getting killed on Gilgo Beach?
It scared me. It scared me because it could happen. I mean, it could happen to me.
So you doing mostly calls or out?
Some people shy from alcohol. I chose a little bit hard. If I go on alcohol, it was to have security. I can't be alone on something like that, especially out here because of what happened.
Are you guys on? This is Gilgo Beach. Alright, so we gotta move down the beach a little bit so you can find more.
Certainly, we're looking at that. We could have a serial killer. We're not used to any of this. People are scared.
Before this sick bastard is caught, they are gonna find more bodies out here in these woods.
Popular city beaches are in great shape for this new summer season.
Almost 350,000 people are expected here for the holiday weekend, and along with the
It's Memorial Day, the start of the summer season, and the beginning of our investigation. As filmmakers, Rachel and I have covered serial murder for more than a decade. And now we're here to document one of the most baffling cases of our time, that of the Long Island serial killer, aka Lisk. Were you here when Gilgo happened?
Yeah, which is scary. You find out that this is going on right on Long Island. I mean, obviously it's been going on for years, and there's no answers still.
It's a case that residents had hoped would be quickly solved. But with no arrests, everyone's been left to speculate as to whom Lisk may be.
To me, would think that the person would be a local person.
I don't think it's somebody local. I think it's somebody from out of town.
Are the police giving you any updates?
No, that'll work. They don't know, that'll work. We haven't seen anything.
Makes me a little uneasy and losing faith with those in charge.
And now, after 5 years of false leads and dead ends, the investigation has grown cold, and officials have gone silent.
District Attorney's Office.
We'd like to get a comment about the Gilgo Beach case.
We are not commenting further at this time of the Gilgo investigation until we have some additional information that serves the investigation or the public by its release.
Originally, Rachel and I came to Gilgo Beach to investigate the hunt for a killer, to find out what went wrong. But what we've discovered goes far beyond one case.
What about these girls?
Gone.
Another one
Gone.
over here?
They're just gone.
It is a journey that has taken us from the quiet streets of suburbia to the darkest corners of the internet.
I'm not really at liberty to discuss why my interest level was so high.
As we follow a mysterious web of connections to other unsolved cases of serial murder.
Serial killers are roving the United States and abducting women, and no one's paying any attention.
Revealing a broken system. A real life American nightmare. While we don't know yet where this story ends, we do know where it begins. Right here in Long Island. With the strange disappearance of a woman named Shannan Gilbert. On April 30th, 2010, a 23-year-old escort named Shannan Gilbert, living in Jersey City, receives a Craigslist offer for an outcall on Long Island. Calling her driver, a man named Michael Pack, the two head out along a secluded stretch of highway to the gated community of Oak Beach. At 2 a.m., Shannan arrives at the house of her client, an unemployed financial advisor named Joseph Brewer. 2.5 hours later, she emerges from the house, screaming that somebody is trying to kill her, as she frantically dials 911.
911, where's your emergency?
Unable to tell police her exact location, Suffolk County operators reroute Shannan's call to New York State Police. As she knocks on the doors of several neighbors, who also call 911. By the time Suffolk County police arrive, Shannan has disappeared into the cold blue dawn.
Tell us about Shannan. She was a wild child. She just had like a spunk about her that you couldn't really tell her not to do certain things because she would just try to do them anyways. You know, like she graduated when she was 16. So most people don't really know that. You know, they wouldn't think of her being someone that's smart and educated, but she was. When my sister didn't come back home, I called Suffolk County to try to file a missing persons report, but they said because of where she lives that I would have to file it through New Jersey.
And they said, well, no, because she wasn't missing here. You know, she was missing in Long Island. You have to go there. We tried to go to Long Island. They said, no, you have to do it where she was living. You have to go back to Jersey. I mean, we were ping-pong back and forth.
Did you tell them she was a sex worker?
Yes.
Do you think that changed their perception?
I don't think it changed their perception. I think they've always had that perception. They didn't care. They just didn't care.
It took 4 months for Suffolk County to connect Shannan's 911 call to the missing persons report filed in Jersey City. Meanwhile, Joseph Brewer, Shannan's client, is cleared by police after passing a lie detector test. The same goes for her driver that night, Michael Pack, eliminating both men as suspects. For police, the trail had gone cold. That was until December 11th, 2010.
Breaking news, an off-duty cop walking his dog stumbles on a woman's dead body.
His tail started waving, and they saw skeletal remains of the body.
Bombshell tonight. Within 48 hours, 3 more sets of female remains discovered. Who is the serial killer? Body count along Ocean Parkway continues to climb.
3 more sets of human remains were discovered near Gilgo Beach.
Search for more human remains extended into Nassau County today.
The first set of remains was found in a plastic bag, and then a second set of remains, a human skull.
In all, police discovered 10 bodies along Ocean Parkway. 5 could be identified. 5 remain nameless. But none were Shannan's.
We were frustrated. I said, look, we got to go back out there. Is there any area we didn't search? They talked about this swampy area that the dogs would not go into. And then I get the call that they found a purse.
I remember it was raining. I remember my mom saying the detective wanted to come up and talk with us. And I remember them coming in the house and said, you know, we found a body and we're almost 100% sure it's Shannon's. The police believe that my sister was either so intoxicated or so strung out on drugs that she just missed the march, got stuck, and just expired.
Do you believe that?
I don't believe that at all.
We believe she had an episode. She was bipolar. You know, from the conversation that I heard, you know, it didn't sound like anybody was trying to kill her.
Have you ever heard the 911 call?
It was read to me by the coroner. They said it was sounds of flip-flops, screaming for help, that they are trying to kill me. And then the phone went dead after 23 minutes.
Why did they never play it for you?
They refused, saying it is still a piece of evidence. So evidence that what? Was it accidental death? It made no sense. Shannon's death was not an accident. Her death was not an accident.
Police believe Shannon Gilbert was simply drunk, high, and paranoid when she ran into that march, tripped, and drowned.
According to a county autopsy report, there was no evidence of drugs in her system.
I was optimistic when I first walked in, but now I'm more frustrated and angry than ever. With the police refusing to comment on the mysterious circumstances of Shannon's disappearance, and the lack of any answers in the hunt for Lisk, the case was soon gripped by a frenzy of speculation, one that seemed almost tailor-made for the internet.
So this is LongIslandSerialKiller.com. This is the site that popped up immediately right after they found the body. I think a lot of people had a lot of theories, so they came to this site.
I would suggest some research on coincidence and probability theory.
As many of you know, I've narrowed down my search to 2 members of the Duck Hunting Club.
What if your husband is a killer? Out of all the sites, the one that seemed most credible was a forum called Web Sleuths, which is at the heart of an amateur crowd sleuthing movement. But the rise of Web Sleuths goes far beyond the Lisk case. All across the country, computer-savvy homemakers or obsessed night owls are now sorting through millions of online records in hopes of finding the clues that will ID a Jane Doe or catch a killer. And as the number of unsolved cases grow, so do the Web Sleuth successes. To date, they've identified over 280 nameless victims.
Welcome to Web Sleuths Radio, one and all. My name is Tricia Griffith. I'm your host for tonight, and you will want to hear this show.
Tricia Griffith is the owner of WebSleuths.com and the host of an internet radio show where listeners can debate their theories on ongoing investigations. But it was the Lisk case that captured everyone's attention.
Let's talk a little bit about true crime and the internet. I know some people get very excited and they think the Long Island serial killer has posted on Web Sleuth. Now, I don't know. Maybe he has. But I can tell you this much. Just because somebody puts clues together and they're smart doesn't mean they're the killer.
It was here where we first met Peter Brent, a German national whose profiling skills seem to go way beyond amateur.
Peter, what is your theory on the Long Island serial killer?
Basically, if you see the way Shannon Gilbert was found, this is sloppy work. This is not the work of an experienced serial killer. I don't see a connection between Shannon Gilbert and Liz.
Peter. Hey, Peter.
Hello.
A former submarine technician and data programmer, Peter writes maritime thrillers while creating serial killer profiles in his spare time.
You call about this case?
Yes.
But before you start, there are some things about serial killer you should maybe know in general. Every minute in the USA, the FBI estimates about 60 to 80 serial killers are active. Experts who have lesser motivation to deny any higher number, say 200 to 300.
How many serial killers are there? I know the going answer is there's 30 at any given time. And I think that's bullshit. Because I have a data set of 476 sexual serial killers in my files, but my data set might be different than somebody else.
According to the Justice Department and the FBI, officially, less than 1% of all homicides are believed to be the result of serial killers. That's not true. It's a documented fact that there are more than 200 uncaught serial killers in the FBI's Highway Serial Killer Initiative. That's just one specific kind of serial killing. We can be certain that there are far more serial killers than we ever imagined in our nightmares. Suffolk County has a long history of watching serial killer cases. The main policy is just let the case go cold and let it go away.
Has the FBI been brought into the List case?
I have yet to see an FBI profile for the List case.
What?
But, well, it doesn't matter too much. Since 9/11, every three-letter agency in the government wanted their own profilers to hunt down terrorists. But they ran out of profilers.
We really don't have time to say, hey, if you need help on this serial murder case, we're here. The unit is so small that we have so much work already. You have 8 individuals, 8 profilers for the entire country and for the world. So the Bureau has changed. I think after 9/11, we've shifted more from an investigative agency to an intelligence agency.
Utilizing his programming skills, Peter has created an algorithm that he believes might lead to Lisk's next victim.
Basically, the program runs for every ad, looks for ethnicity, height, age.
The algorithm has produced a list of 16 women who have suddenly stopped advertising on escort sites.
This number is much higher than you would have normally.
Yes, but I'm not sure what it's going to prove.
Well, it proves the Lisk is well and alive and out and hunting. Beginning of June, that is the beginning of his hunting season. Right now, this evening, he's out there stalking someone. And if you want to find him, you have to look around in his hunting ground. Because that is where he feels comfortable. That is where he shows what he is.
In all, the remains of 10 victims were discovered along Ocean Parkway. But it was the first 4 victims found that we know the most about. In December of 2010, police discovered 4 women, each laid out within 500 feet of one another, each wrapped in burlap. Collectively, they are known as the Gilgo Beach 4, or the GB4, and Amberlynn Costello have been the last of them to disappear. We found Amber's sister, Kim Overstreet, in a 2011 cable documentary. Kim is also an escort, and after her sister's death, she continued to work the same Long Island hunting grounds in hopes of finding her sister's killer.
But I was going back through my records, my phone logs, but I was on a mission at that point. I was going to know, okay? That was it. When I seen them, I would know.
But now, 4 years later, time in the streets had taken their toll.
I think right now I'm locked down in a part of my life where I can't get out. Like, I haven't moved. I haven't progressed, you know. I just want to know who killed my sister. I just want to see for myself with my own 2 eyes, without the police, without all that crap. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to be face to face and just know how it was for Amber, you know.
Amber, you know, she was a sweetheart. It's screwed up that she lived the life the way it was, because I think if she had different, different channels, she would have been able to do something a lot better with her life. Yeah. I remember she said, "You ever heard of Craigslist?" I said, "Yeah, I heard of Craigslist." She goes, "Well, did you know that there's, escorts in here?" So we went back to the house and they pulled up Craigslist, and next thing you know, there was 10,000 hits.
She posted her ad, and I swear to God, within 35 minutes, that phone was ringing off the hook. I couldn't believe it. So, all right, Amber, we're one in it together, And I started posting too. We had a sister's ad. We made a lot of money that summer.
Dave Schaller is the last known person to have seen Amber alive.
This one guy kept calling, and she said he wants to see me for the night. I said, "Did he throw money at you?" "Yeah, $1,500. It just sounded like too much money. $1,500. It was like 9:45. The guy called. I walked to the edge of the property. She gave me a hug. She bounced. She took off. And all I had to do was walk like another 10 feet, and I would have seen this guy's car. Like 10 more feet. That's the thing. 10 feet. I could have seen the license plate, so 10 feet. Killed that girl. And did.
I feel like I've lost my life. I have no reason to do anything, I just do whatever I have to at that moment, I live moment to moment right now. I don't go out and have fun, I don't have any expectations in my life or goals, I'm just kind of existing right now. And I just don't know if I'm going to ever be able to come back from this,
For Kim, it was the unanswered questions that seemed to cut the deepest. And any answer, no matter how small, might just save her. Maybe that's where we came in. Chances are she wasn't going to find her sister's killer. But maybe we could, or at least we could try. Where should we go?
It's a good question.
Where should we go?
On that page, same way it finds us in the advertisements, men for women.
So you think this guy's on there?
Absolutely. Every day. Every day.
The more Josh and I learned about the tragedy at Gilgo Beach, the clearer it became that the victims far outnumbered the dead. And with each life lost, there was a little bit lost in everyone. But it was the sisters who seemed the most vulnerable. And that was especially true for Amanda, the sister of Melissa Bartholomew.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it.
I'm just really not comfortable with answering questions. On December 11th, 2010, Amanda's sister Melissa was the first of the Gilgo Beach Four to be found.
Tell me about Melissa.
She was tiny, petite, 100 pounds soaking wet. She was just beautiful all the way around.
Melissa was tough, like a tough person. Like if she was outside, she'd punch a guy in the face. I mean, literally, if a guy started with her. But Melissa was also smart. She started going to beauty school when I used to drive her.
At 21, Melissa left Buffalo to start a new life in New York City. But she still kept in frequent contact with Amanda.
Her and her sister, they had that bond. And, you know, Amanda, she would hold, you know, things that Melissa told her without telling me.
Later, Amanda told her mother what she was doing down there, having dates with guys for money.
On July 12, 2009, Melissa reportedly lined up a $1,000 alcohol via Craigslist. She remained secretive about the details, except that she was going to Long Island.
When we didn't hear from Melissa for a couple days, that's when I knew. Didn't know what, but I knew something wasn't right.
After Melissa had been missing a while, Amanda's phone rang and came up on caller ID that it was Melissa. We're like, oh my God. So Amanda answers it, and on the other end, she's expecting to hear her sister's voice, and it was a guy. And that's when the calls started coming in.
He'd always call around dinner time between 5:30 and 6:30. He would only stay on the phone for about a minute and a half. I remember the first call, he said to her, "Are you a whore like your sister? I heard you're a half-breed."
It was always just to Amanda. I never got to hear the voice ever. One time when I answered the phone, guy heard my voice and he just hung up.
The last time he called her, he said, "I finally killed your sister. He's going to watch her body rot and he might come and show her someday personally." That's what he told her. And that was, then he hung up on her and we never heard from him again. That was the last phone call.
I don't understand why we're the only ones that he contacted. What did Melissa say to him to make him call us?
I never even told nobody this, but I know Melissa, I'll bet you he was holding her hostage or she was still alive, and she probably started yelling at him. The guy probably got pissed off at her, and that's when he started making the calls. And I hope she did get him. I hope she did something to him.
When you trace the calls, what did you learn? The interesting twist is that it pinged Long Island and the other was Manhattan. That was risky.
Police believe that calling Amanda was Lisk's biggest mistake and might be his downfall. One of his calls pinged to a tower in Times Square as the workday was ending. But trying to pinpoint someone on a cell phone here at that time of day is nearly impossible. A second call pinged to Madison Square Garden, which is right above the New York City hub, the Long Island Railroad. Leading some to theorize the caller was one of the thousands of Long Island commuters who work in Manhattan. And what about the last call? Was the killer actually at Gilgo Beach, watching Melissa's body, as he had told Amanda? And if so, what does this tell us about Lisk?
To find a place like that, first you have to know some place like that exists. It has a feeling of remoteness, of wasteness. That would make him use this place for a long, long time. Maybe from his childhood.
What about the fact that the bodies were placed how they were?
Isn't that the hundred? Yeah. You have never been in a house in Prater, you see all those animal heads staring across the wall down at you. This guy did exactly the same thing, you know. He marked his victims in nice, equal, almost equal distances to each other. There's like a trophy gun. Always reminding of his achievement.
So this was his collection of trophies.
One of it. You don't know how many rooms I have.
This will give the viewers a good sense of what we were dealing with. This is the Gilgo Beach area. But look how thick it is. That's why the bodies could lie out there for years.
Right.
This guy is very familiar with the sex business. He's luring the girls to his web. And I believe he's going to hit again.
Learning that Lisp was probably still out there, and that he had contacted 4 of his victims through sites like Craigslist and Backpage.
This was posted less than an hour ago.
It was sobering to find so many women still soliciting online.
Hicksville, Garden City, Melville, Farmingdale.
Right in the killer's hunting grounds. Didn't they know Lisp was probably trolling for his next victim? Or maybe they did. The allure of easy money or a living wage was just too great.
The women of Gilgo Beach, the women who were targeted by this killer, were representing something new out there in the world of prostitution. The internet has become an option for people whose options are dwindling in America. You've got a situation now where you could work at Dunkin' Donuts or Walmart for 3 weeks, or you could work for one night on Craigslist and make the same amount of money. The internet lowered the barrier to entry. It's just too easy to put a little post on the internet, put your cell number on it, and then a few seconds later the phone rings.
We wanted to reach out to these women, to hear their stories, and to see if they knew the dangers they were facing.
Basically, we want to talk to you about how you try and stay safe.
Yeah. Finally, an escort calling herself Super has agreed to meet with us. But in addition to the fee for her interview, Super has also requested that we act as her driver for the week.
There's a lot of legality. You could go to prison for just driving me.
Sure.
Yep.
That's the right place?
Yes.
Alright, so you'll text us?
When they go in, I text somebody, let them know how long. So they expect I haven't heard from you in an hour. Something's up.
That's correct.
Yes. Don't take long. I make an average about $1,000 a day. I always make sure the person's alone. The room's in their name. Just little details. Good, how are you? Oh, I'm sorry, I gotta do that. Yeah. Exit 63. Alright. Okay. This place is pretty far.
Where are you driving? Just tell us where to go.
Alright.
So you'll text us?
Yes.
Okay.
Did you text her?
I did text her. Nothing? Straight to voicemail.
This is an hour appointment.
Yes.
It's more than an hour.
I understand that. What do you want to do?
She's going. Did you remember her?
No sign, no text, nothing. Put the camera down for a second. I'm not the one making you feel crazy.
You're not worried at all.
I am worried, yes. This is ridiculous. Here she is.
My phone died. I had no charger, and this is all gonna take forever. I'm sorry.
Maybe Rachel and I let our fear get the better of us. Or maybe Super was just better at hiding the truth. That out here, any decision she makes could be one of life or death. And her next client might very well be her last. With no arrests in the case of the Long Island serial killer and a lack of any information from police, the entire internet community of amateur sleuths have now taken it upon themselves to hunt for Lisk. It's a world of promising leads, false hopes, and mysterious clues. And now, following in the footsteps of these crowd sleuthers, we seem to have uncovered a surprising clue of our own.
I had the Long Island serial killer Wikipedia page up, and because Wikipedia is community edited, I figured that if I went into the edit history, I could see if anyone was editing with the intention of protecting a specific person's identity. Right. So the one that I stumbled upon was this one. What this edit did was change it from also referred to by media sources as the Gilgo Killer to also referred to by media sources as Joe Foti.
So who's Joe Foti?
I wanted to double check that, so I took his name, and this catches my eye. Pomac woman sues county over alleged sexual abuse. The incidents occurred at the Suffolk County Correctional Facility, and Joe Foti is a corrections officer.
But that doesn't mean that Joe Foti is a serial killer.
Right. How do we know someone didn't just say this guy's list on Wikipedia out of retaliation?
Okay, so this is where it's really fascinating to me. If you look at the IP address, it'll tell you exactly who this IP address is registered to. Suffolk County Police Department.
It seemed that someone either inside the Suffolk County Police Department or someone using their IP address had made this edit.
Either someone has an accident guard with him,
Or there's a guy who believes it's him who works in Suffolk County PD, and they're putting it up there, even though they can't prove it. 5 different women had filed sexual assault charges against Foti while he was working as a corrections officer.
They claim retired corrections officer Joseph Foti harassed them between 2009 and 2010.
And while in no way did that make him Lisk, it was a revelation we couldn't ignore.
So there's 2 Joe Fotis in Long Island.
what is that?
Okay. Do we know that this is the right Foti? Anybody? No, we don't. The way to confirm whether or not this is the guy is to play it for Amanda, the sister.
So you're saying because Amanda heard Lisk's voice that we get into a conversation with him, record it, and then play it for Amanda?
Following our discovery, Rachel and I wrestled with reaching out to Foti. We didn't want to implicate an innocent man, but the seriousness of these allegations was impossible to ignore. We felt an obligation to the victims, to their families, even to Joe Foti himself. After all, he too has a right to know what's being posted about him. So pull up right here. Leaving our number, we headed to the address of the second Joe Foti.
Are you, or do you know if there's a Joe Foti around here?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
My name's Josh. This is Rachel Mills.
Filmmaker.
Well, we came across some information that he might want, so we want to make sure it's the right guy. This is our information. He's not home, I assume. No, okay.
Was he a corrections officer at one time?
Yeah, that's fine. I understand. Okay. Much appreciated. A few hours later, we received a call from the Joe Foti at the first address.
Yes, we were looking for you. Well, I have some information. I'm not quite sure if you're the right person or not, but I'm looking for a Joe Foti who was a corrections officer at Suffolk County. Is that you? We found some information. Someone put your name on the Long Island serial killer site from Wikipedia.
Really? That's not good.
Yes.
So can you look at more somehow?
Whoever put your name on Wikipedia did it from an IP address that is only linked to the Suffolk County Police Department.
That's harsh.
It is very harsh.
Somebody out there spreading rumors about you, and so you should kind of know about it.
Right. Can I just finish for 1 second?
Sure.
Of course.
I'm fine.
No problem.
Alpha.
Right.
Bye.
This is strange.
Yeah, the typical response to that is what the f*** are you talking about? That's a reaction. I think we'll have to play that for Amanda and see what she thinks. Driving up to Amanda's house, Rachel and I were aware, however the storyline played itself out. It was now no turning back. We were no longer storytellers. We were participants, looking for criticism, scorn, or whatever else that came with it. But if we could draw enough attention to this case that is still yet to be solved, to pull in as many people as possible, and perhaps find justice for these victims, there's a chance worth taking. You heard his voice, correct? He called you 8 times, said some fairly graphic things. Do you think if we played it for you, you could remember his voice? Possibly. Possibly. Coming up this season.
2 different cases, 2 different personalities. You're not dancing with one serial killer. You're dancing with 2.
You've been revisiting any possible link between these bodies and the 4 Atlantic City prostitutes?
And what makes you think that these are connected?
It's definitely some victim profile. Do you have an idea of how many women you did kill?
I know exactly how many you do.
Too many killings go unsolved, and there is nobody who's trying to connect the dots. Why are you the first documentarian to ever come to my city and do a story on this?
It's like a chess game.